But you're building a whole tech stack underneath to systemize your thinking
Yes.
or how you're approaching like developers and putting it in a system where they can access to it and teach themselves.
Yes, so I've systematized how I ramp up thinking, product thinking, strategic thinking for people because of coaching over 500 product leaders, like I said, mostly in the US. This is applicable. This is just about how the brain evolves and learns. So because I've systematized it, I can apply this system in a scalable way now. So that's what we've been working on, building it's going to be a mobile app. It will be the first step to walk the users through the system of being exposed to decisions based on real life scenarios and feedback loops, so that their brain gradually starts thinking about the right things in the right ways, because this skill tends to be passed on, from seniors to mentees or juniors who watch the business evolving over years and so on. Or you can learn it if you pay for coaching, which is very expensive. Or you can learn it if you do, I don't know, a cohort for 2-3 months or a workshop, but then you don't apply it, you forget it. So the way that this is built is for continuous engagement, continuous use, and you ramp up your thinking, and then you keep, it's kind of like going to the gym. It's like a brain gym.
That's right. Brain pathways.
Yes,
You build them
yes.
slowly to approach to a certain systematic thinking.
Exactly. You build them, and then you keep working on them a little bit every day or every week to maintain them long term.
Is that how product managers think? Then you have to develop a certain way of seeing the business, the engineers, and you have to communicate that in a language that speaks to everyone. Are you trying to kind of compact that to steps on how to think like one, how to think like a product manager, or how to think in a way that you have business acumen to understand problems and needs? Is this how product managers do and / should learn?
So the product management function is a lot more than this. It is a lot more than just understanding customer and business and making decisions in ambiguity. That's one part. The product manager is also about communicating, like you said, with various stakeholders, rallying various stakeholders, speaking in their language, understanding. But that's not the part that we're going to do in the first stage. So in the first stage, we're going to focus on the decision making, but the decision making based on the knowledge of software developers that understand the tech. They don't understand the customer and the business and the strategy and the market and all of these variables. So if they understood everything, their decisions would be so much better. Because I heard this from so many developers, and on the other hand, I also heard it from product managers. Developers want to participate. They come up with ideas. Their ideas either get ignored or dismissed. Product managers want developers to participate, but then they say, oh, developers don't get the business, they don't get the customers, and I don't have time to ramp them up. It takes a long time. But they're smart. We want to be able to talk to them. I wish our developers would understand why I'm saying this or why I'm thinking about this. So it's not only bridging the gap because of having similar ways of understanding decision making, but it's even empowering developers to make decisions of their own. Potentially there are other skills from the product management realm and just from the business professional realm that we could tackle. But I think this one is a key one, especially as coding is getting commoditized by AI, and AI is getting better, and it's not a linear curve, it's an exponential curve. AI is improving AI. So pretty soon, what's going to happen is going to be like every industrial revolution in history. They're going to remove the commoditized work layer. They're going to keep about 10% of the workforce that's going to become highly specialized, and that's going to build tools for that work layer. And then the value for people to find employment or like being paid will move up one layer. And the next layer is this decision-making layer.
That's a very good take, because what I have been reading and seeing as well, the specific specializations are not the determinator anymore on how good you are. It's almost becoming this multi-skilled person who understands different functions and the dynamics and the systems thinking and how you can collaborate with it, your communication skills. And if you're a technical person, have a really good understanding and basis of the business, like gears, that's going to make you so valuable.
Exactly.
And also potentially going to open your, door to an entrepreneurship as well.
Potentially.
What is better than a, technical co-founder is a technical co-founder who also understands business, what is financial viability, how to, go to market, how to acquire customers. You suddenly understand both worlds. And we need people still, even in the AI space, who understand the tech stack, how to apply those, but also understand how that work in a big corporation with different dynamics, different agendas. Like, how can you even apply that? Hi, I'm Firuza Chisamotobushe, the host of Be Frank Podcast, a podcast about careers, entrepreneurship, and what matters. Today we have Oana.
Thank you for having me, first of all. It's really, really nice to be here with you. And I love what you're doing with this podcast. It's very empowering for the for people in the workforce to know what to look out for, what to pay attention to. So a little bit about me. I don't know if I can say a little bit about me because my life has been very unusual with a lot of turns. But at the moment, I'm founder, so I'm building a startup. This is coming after a few years of doing coaching for product leaders, particularly in the US, Bay Area, New York. And before that, I was working in product in Meta. I owned the global e-commerce for Avon, another app, another startup. And before that, I was weirdly a famous photographer, and I had an advertising agency. And yeah, it's been all over the place. So I probably have a lot of unexpected stories, but I definitely have learned a lot. And I found a lot of interesting stuff and a lot of interesting people along the way. So that's brilliant.
It's lots of pivots. Would love to hear more about it. You're a photographer, as I know a little bit about you. You come to London, leave that behind. What drove you to decide I'm gonna, build an app, build a website, then somehow develop product skills to come in product market, to end up in Meta, like leading products? What was the driver, and how did you even acquire the skills to become the person that somehow ended up there?
So before I moved to London, I had reached a pretty good place in my career as a photographer. Like, I was on national television, I had exhibitions, I was working with celebrities, all that cool stuff. And I had a project in Africa, in Uganda. I basically lived there for about 3-4 months, and that disconnected me from the celebrity world. And I knew it didn't feel meaningful. It felt shallow, what I was doing. But then when I felt that connection with the real world in Africa, although I was part of celebrity events over there as well, and things that others maybe don't have access to, well, definitely don't have access to, but I got to see people who have very little and very much joy. And I felt like what I was doing was so meaningless that when I got back, I couldn't bring myself to go back to doing what I was doing. So I packed a bag, came to the UK to see what happens. And then I decided, okay, I'll give it a try. But nobody would hire me because I didn't have a history in this country and I wasn't employed before. So I realized that the only thing that I can do is start building something, start a business. But I ran out of money because the UK is very expensive compared to Romania. And I had to make some money. And the way that I did it is I basically faked a CV to get a waitress job. But I was like, I'm not going to give up because I need to find meaning. I need to do things for better reasons. And just being on a billboard wasn't a reason anymore. I guess instinct or knowledge to go and look for problems that people had that I could solve. And I came up with an idea for a mobile app. I had no idea how to build a mobile app because I'd never built a mobile app before. So I was like, okay, I have to figure it out. So I started going to tech events to meet people and to see how others build mobile apps. And that's where I found my tech co-founder because I also knew that I had to find people who complemented my skills. And through networking and such, I found an angel investor that funded us and who knew this part and was happy to support. And within a year or two, it was #1 on its theme on both app stores. We had grown organically. I didn't invest in marketing. I did organic. It was all organic growth because it seems like I found a real problem. And eventually we got to over 500,000 users. Unfortunately, that's where I hit the fundraising series, whatever. I didn't know how to do this at the time. So I didn't know how to raise the next round of funding.
To scale and bring the business to the next stage.
And then obviously when we started, because we were the first that started something like this, a lot of competitors started coming up, and then I guess they were better at getting funding, and we were left behind. So then I thought, okay, well, I have to go and learn from the big companies. How do they do it? Mm-hmm. So I need jobs in the big companies. And that's how I got the first job in Avon. And then I was like, okay, well, I need a big tech company now to learn from the best. So then I ended up in Meta. But both were product, so product management. And then from Meta, I guess it just naturally evolved. The coaching wasn't planned. It just evolved because people said I was good at helping them learn product skills. And then the new startup is just a continuation of that in a way that scales for me to be able to help more people for a much more affordable price than what an hour of coaching with me costs.
So, Oana, I prepared some questions from Redditors, internet forums, what they ask most about careers and startups in a rapid fire question.
Should I be worried?
No, you can just answer with yes or no. Would you rather? Pick one concept. If you were to give more explanation in some of them, you can, but you don't have to either.
If it's scary, can I run?
Yes, you can. Build pals. Are you ready?
Yeah, go on.
Cool. Okay, we start with yes or no. Pricing low first better than premium first?
Always premium first. There's a reason for that. It's not snobbish, but the price is a filter. So when you launch a product, the first customers that you want are the ones that have the biggest need for a solution like yours. And frankly, if you can't find people who would pay a premium, that problem is probably not worth solving. Because, there are a gazillion problems in the world. A lot of them are not worth solving from a business point of view. But if you find a problem that is genuinely big and important, there will be some people who will pay a premium because they will need it desperately right now. And those are the people that you want to start with and build and refine your solution with to get to the product market fit. And then once you get there, you can expand to others and you can lower the price barrier and you can find other ways to attract new customers. But the first customers should always be the ones that have the biggest need, and pricing is a way to filter them.
I feel like if some of the co-founders have had this advice from you, it could have saved them so much time and money. I see that on Reddit a lot about the pricing and what it does to their startup. And I also understand, coming back into the why people get support from you, or why this solution you're building would help them think on different way of thinking. Because often they probably just want to come in competitive, but this advice could have just saved them a year and money.
Yeah. I've had these conversations with some people. What isn't this price gonna be a bit too high to begin with? Actually, it's not really at all high when we're gonna launch, but it is just a little bit high, just enough to be a little bit uncomfortable. When you pay for a product that solves a problem that you have, and you pay a lot, you're also more likely to try to get the best out of the product, to pester those people to give you that value. And those are the customers that we want to start with. The ones that will pester us and that will knock at our door and tell us we need this and we need this, and build for them and work with them to refine the solution to product market fit.
It's not about even pricing, it's about your product market fit.
Yes, it's about getting the right customers in and using pricing as a filter.
You accepted a job without fully understanding the role.
Every time.
Please explain.
Well, first of all, product management is a very ambiguous space. So there's no way that you can understand what a product management role will be like. It's not like you're just, I don't know, typing data into a computer every day. The problems are different every day, and it's probably also why I like it, because it's so dynamic and so interesting, but you never know what you're gonna get. The best that you can do is gauge a sense of the company's values and the problems that they're facing with, but you never actually know until you're there. And very often, even when you're there, you don't know, and you have to still make decisions, which is, the product manager life.
So it's just the way it is, and you have to be open to an adventure.
Yes.
Would you rather 100 lukewarm leads or 10 superfans?
10 superfans any day, because like I was saying earlier, those are the people that you want to work with, the ones who will give an arm and a leg to get your product to work with you, because those are the ones that really feel the problem that you solve the most, and they will give you the best signal to round up your solution to make it as good as possible for them.
That's very insightful. What about, would you rather ship with manual ops or delay for automation?
This is an interesting one, because at the moment, everyone says, oh, ship fast, ship broken. I think this is a bit old, this type of advice. So I get ship with manual ops, and I would do it as long as it solves the flow of the problem. So the infrastructure shouldn't be perfect, but the experience for the user should feel perfect, even if it requires manual ops in the background, because the barrier and the expectation has increased dramatically because of AI, because there's so much noise, and there have been so many, I don't know, hundreds of thousands or millions of web apps launched by everyone everywhere, that people are sick and tired of it. So unless you give them something that qualifies as an MLP, minimum lovable product, they're not going to even give you the time of day. They're not going to waste their time on just another web app. So you want to polish the experience for the user to feel premium, to feel exceptional, and to feel so good that they want to talk about it. But in the background, you don't need to build every single detail. You can do manual ops, you can do improvisations until you refine your flows.
As long as you don't, change the way their experience is.
Yes. So it's about, the experience has to be good, the background can be scrappy.
Okay, let's move into the pick one. First hire, engineer, marketer, ops, or salesperson?
None. None, because when you're a very early stage startup and you do your first hire, you don't need a specialized person on one thing, because you have a lot of moving things. You don't have enough work to give to a full-time specialized hire that will only do what they're specialized on. So you need a generalist who maybe has a little bit more specialization in one or two things. What's essential is to choose people who believe in your mission, who believe strongly in what you're doing and why, who complement your skills, and who have that desire, that drive, that ambition, and they have to be self-driven. So in the first hires, they need to be self-driven. If they wait for you to give them tasks, what to do, then that's going to be very, very hard in the beginning. In the beginning, everyone just has to riff and try things and go outside of their specialty and try unusual things and get together, figure out what works best. So
how would you assess that though? Like, you're hiring someone, how can you assess someone's drive or, you know, commitment into your mission, or even interest into your mission?
You can even assess it from their interaction with you. Do they ask questions? Are they curious? Are they interested? Do you see excitement on their face? Do they follow up? Do they ask you questions after? Have they researched what you're doing? Like, are they doing proactive things to see more about what you're doing? Will they come and tell you, oh, I found this that, I don't know, maybe you knew about it or maybe you didn't. But the fact that they went and they did it shows that they're proactively doing things and that they're not going to wait for you to give them tasks.
Yes, I like that one. Okay, pivot trigger is a churn spike, CAC jump, stolen sales, user feedback.
All of them and none.
Okay.
It's funny because these questions are kind of, I'm answering like a product manager. Because if you ask a product manager something, their answer is, it depends. And it's kind of a joke in the industry, right? But you've given me a bunch of metrics there. The reality is, all of those metrics, what they tell you is that there could be a problem somewhere. And they're telling you that something is moving at your top level, but you don't know why this is moving. So for example, CAC, okay, it spikes. Okay, so what? You look into it, you check, okay, what are our channels? Where does this CAC spike come from? Let's say Facebook ads increased in price. Okay, do we have to use Facebook ads? Do we have other channels that work almost as best? Can we repurpose some of that budget to identify new channels that work better, right? So that doesn't mean that you automatically pivot, that these metrics are a signal that you should look into something and understand the cause, and then see if that cause can be fixed and if it's sustainable long term. Only if you decide that, okay, the cause is not fixable, it's systemic, and there's no sustainable long-term fix for this, that's when you pivot.
It's really helpful even for me. In the way of thinking, right? Because what you're saying to me is, you go deep dive, you look into data, you know, you look into different like topics and see it on a kind of general level, and then you decide after you made your analysis.
Yes.
It's not ever simple as there's an indicator, we go. No. Okay. My last question to you is,
okay, I survived so far, so let's do it.
I think it's gonna be nice. If you were to have a heart-to-heart conversation with your 18-year-old self today, what advice would you give to her and why?
This is probably going to be as funny and weird as the conversation that we've already had. But my advice to my 18-year-old self would be, remember that people don't care about you as much as you think they do. Because especially when we're young, we worry so much that, oh, what if I do this? What's everyone going to think? Or how do I look? Or how does this sound? Or, oh, I don't know, I have to do this or that. But everyone who interacts with you, everyone who you touch paths with, by tomorrow they'll forget. Something else will happen. And you're not as important as you think in the
Numbers,
grand scheme of things and in others' perspective, because others will always be interested in themselves.
That's true. Everyone is living their own.
Yes, and we worry so much about how others perceive us when, you can make your life so much easier by not worrying about it so much.
That's so true. I think it's the realization of everyone has their own vulnerabilities and everyone has their, things that they're questioning about themselves, and to realize we're all humans. Everyone has something that they get stressed off, and you just have to keep going, and you have to just, build that confidence in you and just try things and do things.
Yeah, I think a bit in a way, what helped me is that I got to work fairly early on with so many celebrities and see that they're humans.
Yes.
And but still, I was still like this. It took me a long time to learn to let go of this worry, because nobody's gonna be as interested as we think they are.
That's so cool. Okay, well, thank you so much, Oana. It was really nice to have you, and I actually thought I learned so many things myself. So thank you so much for the conversation, and thanks for listening to us. If you have any questions, please, let us know. But otherwise, thanks for listening, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. It's been a really fun conversation. And I'm glad to hear that you learned something from this as well. And I hope people who are watching will learn something, because it's what drove me my whole life, to help people, to share what I know, and to try to make the world better if possible.